Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, late night, morning, wherever you are, sort of dotted around the world, and welcome to the Bottlebooks webinar entitled Energize Your Portfolio. And what I want to do over the next sort of 45 minutes to an hour or so, we'll see how long we carry on talking for, is just to introduce everybody to our new look portfolio and try and encourage everybody to take a look into their portfolio and their Bottlebooks account after this webinar, and to try and show people why it is important to have product information readily available. So I'm Matthew Johnson. I am responsible for Bottlebooks in the UK, and lastly in a lot of other English-speaking countries around the world as well. So you may be familiar with me from conversations we may have had. I've also got David, who has already said hello. He is our COO and in charge of customer success. And we also have our CEO, Jonathan Harclerode, who is also going to demonstrate the new portfolio, and he will share his screen with everybody at some point over the next sort of 45 minutes or so to show you some of the new features and things that are available. Jonathan, are you there? Can you say hello?
Hello, everyone.
Hi. So before we start, obviously, we thank you obviously for joining the webinar. We will keep hammering on again, bottom screen Q&A, please feel free to ask us some questions as we go on. But what we wanted to do is that we have recently just relaunched the Bottlebooks portfolio, and it's a great way to ensure that all of your product information is stored into one place. So whether you're a producer, an importer, an event organizer, or a retailer, all the functionality that you will see is available to everybody. And we are obviously quite excited about this, and Jonathan has been instrumental in putting this together over the past 6 months. So Jonathan, I'm excited to see the portfolio up and running. Can you explain a little bit more about the portfolio and why we think that the new module is so important?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So as most people who have been working with us over the last few years knows, we have been heavily focused on how information is collected in Bottlebooks, how information goes from one business to another. And over the last few years, we have been able to support some of the world's largest businesses, including national retailers in six countries, and a number of the largest events in the world, such as ProWine, as well as associations. And to do this, we have been focusing on the tools that they need to collect information from their wineries, from their suppliers, from their exhibitors. And we've learned a lot along the way. We've gotten to talk with a lot of wineries to understand what they do on their side, how they manage information, what do they do with information. And we made the decision about a half year ago that we would shift our focus to wineries and prioritize that in our product development, so that Bottlebooks is not just not only a great software for retailers, importers, associations, but also for the wineries as well.
Super. So I suppose first and foremost, for anybody who is or isn't familiar with Bottlebooks, we are a platform where people can host and share product information easily and quickly with partners around the world. But in terms of type of product information that you can store on Bottlebooks, it's probably worth starting with that. So what type of product information can you store on Bottlebooks?
So this was something that we also found very interesting working with businesses in different countries around the world, is that while the process was very similar in how they collected information, the questions they asked were different. And so when working with events, working with retailers, and for example, in the UK or Germany, the questions that were asked, they had different questions and different priorities on those questions. One of the questions that we talk about a lot is regarding trends in marketplaces. So for example, in the UK, many people know that there is a trend around vegan wines. They're popular and they have a higher average retail price, which makes it a quite lucrative market. But of course, those are very closely monitored by vegans that the wines are indeed vegan. And so you need to have the evidence that they are vegan. Another question that we've been asked is about the weight of the paper and the labels. And so when wineries are filling out that request in Bottlebooks, they're often wondering why am I putting in the weight of the paper? But it's not always common knowledge that certain countries have these extra requirements. And UK is another example of this, where because of waste disposal levies, every material that goes in and out of the UK needs to be monitored, including the paper and the label of a bottle. So at this point, we're tracking about 200 data points on each wine in a standardized manner, ranging from the basic information to marketing information, videos, as well as logistics information.
Super. And could you show us one of those products?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I'll just switch over to my screen and see if this is working. Is everybody able to see this? Is my screen visible?
I can see it, so I don't think anybody else can answer, but yes.
Ah, yes, okay. So this is the account of one of our customers, a large South African producer, and this is the new portfolio. So if we go into one of the products, this is sort of an example of the new look and feel. Those of you who know Bottlebooks will just recognize the new design. So lots of information, basic information at the fingertips. And then when you scroll down, then you have access to lots of other information. And because there is so much information, then it's important to have good search as well. So you're able to type in, for example, for alcohol, and then we'll find everything that matches that requirement. So yeah, so
there's a lot of information there. Obviously, inputting that information will take a little bit of time, from if it's the first time you're uploading it. But once you've got that information onto your portfolio, that's it, isn't it? You don't have to add it again.
Exactly. So that's kind of the focus of Bottlebooks, that regardless of where you go, whether it's a retail or an event, you've only had to do the information once. And I think that's where Bottlebooks does go further than other systems, because many other systems, including, for example, GS1, which is a global standard that is only working in the retail space. And even there, it's not universal. When you go to an event or work with a wine association or a wine award, you're having to enter in the information again from scratch, and with Bottlebooks, you don't have to.
And so for anybody within my team as a business, if I've uploaded all of my information into the portfolio, they can have access to that information. They can see that information as well.
Exactly. So I think there's really sort of three focus areas in Bottlebooks. One is that the information is in a standardized format. The second is that it's centrally managed. You have one record across your business for your information. And the third one is being able to do useful everyday things with that information.
Okay, and so speaking of useful everyday things, let's assume that I'm a relatively large producer, and I might have 100 different products in my portfolio. And if you go back to the main portfolio page, how do I find those products? So where are we? Here in South Africa. Let's say I would like to find any wine that is Sauvignon Blanc and suitable for vegans. How would I do that?
So part of the new portfolio is enhanced search abilities, and not just the ability to search, but the ability to search for wine and drink specific characteristics. So we've selected Sauvignon Blanc, and then we can also choose vegan. And so what we have here is a list of now all of the vegan Sauvignon Blanc wines in our portfolio.
Super. So if I'm looking for a potentially now a specific wine and go, oh, lovely, I'll have a look in the Durbanville Hills, I can click into that and I've got the information. I've now sort of created a little bit of a list. Can I turn this into a folder so that I then have one place I can go and look for all of my Sauvignon Blanc wines that are vegan without having to do that every time I go into my portfolio?
Yeah, so that's a good point. That even if you're a smaller winery, you will end up having multiple vintages, and so the number of wines in your portfolio will grow quite quickly. And being able to have a way of managing that information is quite important. And so we have added the ability to create and organize information based on lists. So you can take your individual wines and create a list. And so here we can just say, it's an example webinar list. And when you've created the list, then all those wines then are put in the list, and then you have these 9 wines here.
That's fantastic. And so the little bit at the top that says product lists, so if I was then looking for that list again, go straight into product lists. I don't need to go into my portfolio, and I can find that list there. And what about once I've created this list, what can I do with it? How do I tell the rest of my team potentially, or if I'm going to go host a tasting somewhere with all of these wines, can I share this product information with people?
Yes, and there's multiple ways of sharing it. So when you're sharing it internally and on the business, you are now able to invite colleagues to your account and give them read-only access. So that means that they're able to view the lists and view the portfolio, but the data is locked. That way you can ensure that everybody is working from the right data. When you're sharing outside your business, there is the ability to share, and you're able to put your partner's email address in here, type a message, hit send, and then they receive an email. And when they click that email, what they get is they are taken to a public page where all the wines that you've shared can be found, and they're able to drill in and get additional information about the wines. Download bottle shots, information sheets, and a Bottlebooks data file on the wine.
Okay, super. So that's sort of a really kind of great, easy way for people to be able to share that information. But I suppose 2 things that you kind of picked up on there is the ability to download or export the product's information. So we've got a link to a file. Can you tell me a little bit more about information sheets? So wineries around the world and producers are creating their own product information sheets that can be a very, very long process to try and get a beautiful template together and to be able to print a nice PDF of their product. Can they do that on Bottlebooks?
Yes, they can. And that is one of the things that gets us quite excited about data is how you can use it, and being able to create nice tasting sheets. We know that a lot of wineries spend a lot of time and a lot of effort and often cost on creating tasting sheets, and this is something that we have taken into Bottlebooks. Libertas is one example. They have created custom templates for their wines. So, for example, for Niederberg, you can always get access to the basic template and create a information sheet based on a standard template, which we're adding more templates shortly. But you can also create your own bespoke template and have that integrated in to the system. And then you're able to create one or more info sheets directly through the software.
Is there a limit to the number of custom sheets that anybody could have in their account?
No, there really isn't. So I mean, there's obviously your master sheet, but then there's different sheets for different occasions or different target audiences. So you may have multiple information sheets.
So yeah, I'm just thinking about one from a tasting perspective that's marketing heavy, and one from a technical perspective that would make it easier for people to, so different
Exactly.
customers have different needs, is what I'm thinking. So the ability to have a different export template in that aspect would be fantastic.
Exactly.
Super. Just worth pointing out again, as we're kind of chatting through, hopefully what Jonathan is showing you is quite interesting. But if there are any questions that you may have about some of the function that you've seen already, or some of the things that we will talk to you about shortly, please do tick on the little Q&A at the bottom, add a question, and we will obviously do our best to answer that for you. And at any point, please obviously ask your questions, as many as you like, and we will get through to answering them. So one thing, Jonathan, that I think you sort of touched upon is that the idea of Bottlebooks is to try and have a single system to standardize products information and product sharing around the world. Now, we like to sort of state that we're going to replace Excel and try and remove it from the world, but we know that's not going to happen. So PDF is a wonderful way of sharing product information. Is there a slightly more Excel-friendly version that you can offer people?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, I mean, information sheets are obviously the lingua franca around the world. You're able to take a PDF and send it anywhere and have the basic information available on it. But when you go past that and you're needing additional details on the wine, a PDF really doesn't cut it anymore. Also in those circumstances, you're probably even going past the point that a standard software program is going to cover all of the different possible ways that you want to reuse your information. Based on the collaboration with some wineries, we have developed what we're calling a data file. And a data file is basically one step past an information sheet, but not quite as far as having an integration or a bespoke application for what you're doing. And so we're just downloading a data file for these wines. And I'll just bring that over and show everyone what that looks like. And so this is what we call a Bottlebooks data file. As you can see, in some respects, it is like an information sheet. It has, and it's branded, so it has the brand logos, bottle shots, and then it has all the information about the wine. Everything that's in Bottlebooks for the wine is then exported in a single format, and you're able to put all of the wines in a single sheet. And then if you've built macros or doing other detailed analyses that may or may not be supported by another software program, this provides you an easy way of working with the information. What's also interesting about this is that you can also create these locked so that they can't be changed, just like a PDF. So you can have the power of Excel, but with many of the benefits of PDF, such as being able to control and lock the information.
Control that sort of version of your product information, and you control it. So by being a business who is on top, as a producer on top of your portfolio, it can give you one central location to store and say, all of my information is available on Bottlebooks. It is accurate, and I know that anything of my information that you access from Bottlebooks is what I have uploaded from a producer point of view. So as a producer, they have control of their own product's information.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, super. And you mentioned about getting data into other systems. What capabilities might there be there?
Yeah, so as we work with both large and small businesses, we have a number of integrations with the software. One of our integrations with the GS1, so we are able to push the information that GS1 is able to handle into GS1 compatible systems. And then we also have a Shopify integration on the, you could say, the smaller end. And we have a number of partners who have integrations with Bottlebooks as well, and a great API based on GraphQL to make any sort of integration really straightforward.
So again, the importance of sort of managing, controlling all that information in one place just makes the whole process quicker, easier, and much easier to manage.
Yeah, so you can do the work in one place, get all the extra content from all your different team members, whether it's from marketing or from the winemaker, from the lab, and put that into one location, and then distribute it to all your partners, all your different systems from a single place.
Super. And so let's assume I'm a wonderfully organized producer that's popped all of my products information into my portfolio. Is there anything I can do to try and make my sort of business and my profile, my products sort of more visible to the world?
Well, we have recently launched something that we are calling the trade directory. And the trade directory is an opportunity for all of the users on Bottlebooks, all the businesses on Bottlebooks, to list their profiles in a public directory, and very much similar to an event. And when you come in, you're able to list all of your online shops, those producers who are selling direct to consumer, which I think many more now are than even 6 weeks ago. You can also upload videos and list other events. So for example, we can go in and see what is going on at Weingut Weiler Artinger, and get videos about the winery. So it's a great place to be able to tell your story. And we're really excited with how many of the businesses on Bottlebooks have already added content to it. And this is something that we're doing complementary and to support the industry, and to help people communicate to their customers, existing customers and new customers during this crisis and after.
Yeah. So potentially, if you don't have I don't know, sort of business website that's got all of your information, you could, I'm supposing, go up to the top where it says directory.bottlebooks.me, and on your own page, click that, copy the link, and attach it, and share that link with anybody you wish to. Exactly.
Yes.
And they will be then taken to this page and they'll be able to see all of the products that you have available.
Yes, you can do that. We also have a number of associations which have their own version of this, where it contains content from only their members. And it's an easy way also for associations then to help their producers communicate about how you can buy their wines and what they're doing and the tastings that they're running.
Super. And is it easy to get the information from your portfolio, so in terms of your products, into the trade directory?
Absolutely. So when you're in Bottlebooks and you go over to requests and events, everybody will see a Bottlebooks trade directory link. And when you go through the trade directory, then you're able to enter your videos, into your wines, and tell your story.
That's great. So the new portfolio allows you to effectively sort of publish, share, and store and manage all of your products information in much easier than you could before, and do much more with it, and also allow you to share your information on the trade directory as well, should you wish.
Exactly.
Okay, and just sort of, this is obviously, changed in terms of things. How much is this going to cost everybody?
That's the question of the hour, question of the day. So we have, we're obviously aware of where we are in the industry, and that times are tough at the moment. And we see bottle books as a way that wineries are able to increase the structure in their data, increase the amount that they're able to communicate about their wines, and do this in a less expensive way than they've done it before. So they're able to do this in-house. They're able to have a professional looking information sheet. They're able to have a professional looking profile without needing to spend time on it themselves or hire an agency to do that for them. And so for the portfolio, for all of the functionality that we've been talking about on this, it is 49 euros per month. And there is also a smaller package for 19 euros a month that gets you many of these things. So it's easy for any business to get started standardizing and centrally managing their wine information.
Okay, and we'll probably sort of wrap up in the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes or so. So just a quick reminder to anybody who is watching and listening that if you do have any questions on anything that we have just sort of gone through in the last sort of 30 minutes or so, please go to the little box at the bottom that says Q&A, click on it, type in your question, and we will have a sort of a very short Q&A session at the moment before we sort of wrap up. But one thing, Jonathan, that we've got sort of in a little bit of trial at the moment is a sort of a beta program. And could you tell us a little bit more about that, and particularly for people who are listening today, what they could do to help us, what they can do to test out this new portfolio?
Yeah, exactly. So we, one of the things that helped us build out the part of the system where the retailers and associations and events are using to collect data was customer feedback, helping us tell us exactly what you're doing with the software, what you're doing in the business, so that we're able to build the software so that it exactly meets your needs. And so we're inviting everyone, existing customers, people who've maybe only registered for one event using Bottlebooks, to come in and to work with their wines on Bottlebooks, and to provide us insights, feedback, what works, what's missing, ideas for where we could do more. And so we're right now running a beta program, and that will be, we expect that to run through about the mid of May. So if anybody is interested in being part of that, then do let us know, and we would make it worth your while.
So what do people need to do that? Is there an email address, or are we going to share all the details after the webinar?
So yeah, so you can just contact us at contact@bottlebooks.me, and that will come directly to our customer success team, and we will give you sort of the steps that we would like you to look at in the software. And it doesn't take a lot of time, and just to come in, look at it, and help us make the software better. We'd greatly appreciate that.
Super. And we finally have some questions. So the first question here, which I'm sort of happy to try and answer as well, would say, what would you say was a typical size of producer this could benefit? Jonathan, do you want to go first? I've certainly got my own views.
Yeah, so I think that is, I think in the big scope of the big picture, I think every producer is going to be able to use this. Of course, I might say that. I think what's going to be different is what each size of producer uses with the software. So when we're looking at larger producers, we see producers that can sometimes even internally have multiple processes and multiple Excels and multiple systems. And what they're missing is a centralized place to consolidate that information. And so I think larger businesses can use this as a way of catalyzing that internal standardization. When you're looking at small to medium producers, producers of this size are either using external agencies to create each of their information sheets manually, which can be an expensive exercise, especially in the current times, or you might see that you're working with a Word document, which doesn't always look professional. So I think there's also things for small wineries. Additionally, the smaller wineries have also created and published their own wine directories on their websites, just like an event. So you're able to take Bottlebooks and create your own online directory with the information about the wines. It's not an online shop, but it for catering to your trade customers and showing more information than you might otherwise do for consumers. It's a very easy way to create a rich trade experience.
Absolutely, I certainly echo that, and I think from a small producer need who may not have the number of staff, the time to be able to produce their own product information sheets, but at the same time they will still have requests from customers, from retailers or importers to have access to that product information. So by storing all that information on Bottlebooks, one, it makes the process of sharing that product information quicker, but it also gives them tools to create a nice little professional looking document that they can share with everybody, and may not be customizable in the base sort of system, but will still give them pretty much everything that they need. And I would echo on the larger producer side, one thing in sort of my experience of working in larger organizations, even from large producer point of view, is that if you've got multiple wineries within the same organization, it is amazing how they don't talk to each other to share that product information. So by keeping everything within your Bottlebooks portfolio allows all of your multiple teams around the world potentially to be able to have access to the true source of information and share that information. And brilliant. So I think from big to small, it has multiple benefits to everybody. Next question, Jonathan. How are wineries using Bottlebooks on their website? Can you have a PDF link that opens with each wine on the shopping cart or wine information page?
Yes, so we have, there are a couple of different ways that wineries are using it with their website. One is to show the wines on the website, to be able to publish the content like the videos and so on in the same way that you're posting it at an event. These are things that you might otherwise need to go to a graphics designer or have a developer come and modify your website. And so this is an easy way of getting that additional content onto the website and keeping it updated and in sync with what you have on Bottlebooks. And the other one is linking directly to the PDFs so that you're able to have the PDFs that you're managing on Bottlebooks live on your website directly. So if you already have all the content or have the integration or otherwise on your website, you can link the PDFs directly.
Super, thank you. And we have two more questions at the moment. So again, please feel free to ask any more questions that you would like to. So Q&A at the bottom, click on that. Another question, how would you recommend a small producer who needs to get information out to different international markets? Information, not data, as they don't work with supermarkets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we talk also to smaller wineries, they don't have a large production of wines, a large amount of wine, And sometimes they need to be selective about where they are selling their wine so that they actually have the capacity. And we know producers that will choose to send one vintage to the Benelux, and then skip that vintage in the UK. And then the next year they'll send that vintage to the UK and skip that vintage in the Benelux, just to make sure that they have enough quantity of a specific wine that they want to sell. And so they can be to be able to organize the information of just those wines that you want that market to see or that potential customer to see is important in those presentations. To be able to focus in and present those wines which are relevant is important. And it's arguably more successful than presenting your entire portfolio of wines, because it's understanding what is that customer looking for, what's right for the market, and then presenting to them specifically those products which have the best fit.
Super, thank you. And then another question, is it possible to customize PDF exports? Could you show us the Nederburg one again, perhaps?
Yes, so it is possible to customize the exports. They can be customized in two different ways. The first one is that you can add your own custom templates to Bottlebooks, so that as you add new wines, you're able to instantly generate those informations. And as you see on our form, on our basic template, you could also customize that template, so you could turn on and off different fields, so that you could hide and show different fields on that design as well. So you can give it your custom design, and then you can also customize the content.
Super.
I think does that answer the question? Yeah,
I think so. I hope so. We'll find out in a minute. But yes, and then one final question that we've got, it says, when linking a PDF on a website, can you have multiple links, i.e. a link for each wine, or does the link take the customer to the Bottlebooks site? So I suppose if you're using our API, the very simple answer is yes.
Yeah, and it's more, you don't even have to use the API for this. I think the way that this would, I think it goes to the philosophy of Bottlebooks, is that Bottlebooks is not the tool in front of your customer or between you and your customer. It's a tool very much like Excel, you could say, or Microsoft Office, that just supports you and your customers. That means that if you are using Bottlebooks on your website or sending them a link or a PDF, your customers never have to come to Bottlebooks if you don't want them to. They can if you do, but if you're just wanting to send them a PDF or a link to a PDF, then you're able to do that. And but Bottlebooks is a software that supports the transformation, or the transfer of information, but your customers do not need to log into Bottlebooks or come to Bottlebooks to get that information.
Super, thank you. Well, that wraps up all of the questions that have been asked so far. Hopefully everybody that has sort of now viewed the new Bottlebooks portfolio has a great view of how Bottlebooks has improved, and hopefully how you can see that it can benefit you, whether you're a producer, an importer, an association, or whatever area of the sort of the drinks world that you may be in, and you'll be able to sort of benefit from that. David, is there anything you'd like to say in terms of what the next steps are, what we're going to do after the webinar, if people have further questions?
Certainly. So we'll send everybody an email tomorrow with a link to this video, so you can watch it again or you can share it. And we have two upcoming webinars already scheduled. The next one is on doing videos for your wineries, even in this current lockdown. Again, as Jonathan said, you can always send us an email at support@contact@bottlebooks.me with any questions, or if you want to try the new portfolio out, and we're here to help, and even jump on a call with you if you need it.
Thanks. I've just got one very last quick question that I've not dismissed as such, but it was more regards to GS1. How easy is an export and transfer of data to GS1 was the question.
Yeah, so basically it's as simple as going into the account and configuring your GS1 provider. So everybody is working with different GS1 providers, and we just need the credentials for the GS1 to be able to configure it for your vendor.
Fabulous. Thank you, Jonathan. So thank you to everybody who has joined our webinar today. As David mentioned at the beginning, we will be hosting webinars every Monday at the same time. Next week, it is focusing on tips and tricks to make wonderful producer videos or product videos or other videos, and mainly just videos, for you to be able to use, and sort of the best way to share that product information. If you have any questions, please email the team at Bottlebooks. If you have an account, please log into your account, have a play with the new portfolio, send us back feedback as much as you can, because we're here to ensure that the product works for you as the users of Bottlebooks. And you know, any questions, obviously, please let us know. But thank you for joining us today, and please come along and join us next week when we'll share more information with you. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you. Have a great week, everyone.